Most of you know Tyler Reddick won his first Cup race at Road America in 2022. But what you didn't know was that he was supposed to win, and I have the stats to prove it. Hello world, welcome to this episode of SCM. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor
We don't have a sponsor.
Okay, I've just been told we do not have a sponsor for today. We're just a couple of broke kids. So, the other day, I was trying to figure out who to put on my NASCAR fantasy team for Road America, and I use a spreadsheet. I collect information to predict who will do the best. So, I put in the people that I thought would do well, like Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, And after a few sections, I realized that there were gaps in my results. For example, in the practice time, I had places 1, 3, 4, and 5. And in my qualifying, I had 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. So I looked back at NASCAR.com and found out that all those gaps belong to one driver, Tyler Reddick. So I decided to add him to the group of people I'd already started on because why not? He was the missing piece to my team. So, in my spreadsheet, there are two parts. The first is where I input all the information and let the formulas do their thing. But the second part is my favorite part. I compare the drivers to each other using green, yellow, and red background colors, as you can see here. So, for this race, I had 8 drivers, including Tyler Reddick. I look at all the drivers, and I categorize the top 3 as green, the next 3 as yellow, and the last 2 as red. So this means I will have 3 greens, 3 yellows, and 2 reds for each section. And this works out because I'm considering 8 drivers, and I can only put 6 into my team. So the reds won't be in my team. And the reason I do this is because, say you qualified 5th. That's not bad, and I might put you on my team because of that. But when you compare that to the other people in the group, all of a sudden you're 5th out of 6 available spots, and I'm not so sure that I want you anymore. Of course, there's more to look at than qualifying, but you get the point. Another way I determine my picks is I have formulas that count the number of top 10s, top 5s, top 3s, and wins that you have. It pretty much just takes the numbers from previous finishes, practice, qualifying, and things like that to see who's the best. Alright. Enough explaining, though. Let's look at the numbers. And let me tell you, for being someone I didn't think about before, Reddick is good. And I mean, 2nd in practice, 4th in qualifying, 7th in lap averages, and he had the best 5-lap run in practice. But that's only the Road America stuff. At COTA, he finished top 5, and Sonoma, well, let's just say this happened. And even last year, he wasn't bad. He qualified 4th and finished 8th. And all this success puts him in a 3-way tie for most top 10s with Ross Chastain and Austin Cindric at 8. But for top 5s, Chastain drops to 4, and Cindric and Reddick stay tied for 1st at 6. Then in top 3s, Cindric falls to 1, but Reddick is still tied, but with Chase Elliott, Michael McDowell, and Ross Chastain, each with 3. And finally, for the wins section, Tyler has 1, but is not tied for 1st because he doesn't have a race win like Chase and Ross do, who are at 2. In the last column, you can see 3 numbers. Those are the total number of greens, yellows, then reds that each driver has. And once again, you can see that Tyler Reddick is on the top, although this time there are no ties. So, based on this, Tyler Reddick is already my top choice and a favorite to win. But I've one more part of the sheet, and this really shows how good he is. This part compares and orders the drivers based on a category. This first one is based on the number of top 10s, 5s, and so on. And of course, Tyler Reddick is at the top of this one. The next one is based on practice and qualifying, which is topped by Chase Briscoe, but again, there's Tyler Reddick close behind. The third is from previous finishes, and Tyler is in third behind the two that have wins. Yes, he is third, even though he's in the fourth row, but that's just because he's tied with Cindric, and it is alphabetical. And the final one is GYR, the greens, yellows, and reds for each driver. And of course, there he is in first place. I just think it's crazy that he's so good, but wasn't even mentioned in the Fantasy Fast Lane for Road America. And just to show how much better he is than everyone else, I made a chart. This takes our places from all the lineups I just went through and finds the average of them all. Of course, Tyler Reddick is on the top with an average place of 1.75, with second place being 3.25. As I said before, he's supposed to win. And yes, I know, none of this research will guarantee someone to do good or bad. Like, Ryan Blaney was the worst overall, and he finished better than some of the people that ranked higher than him in the sheet. But still, if all this doesn't make you think that Tyler Reddick was supposed to win, I can't help you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe if you're interested in the things we talk about. We might only be kids, but we try to find cool and interesting topics like this and want to share our opinions and perspectives. But the most important thing is, I won both my fantasy leagues that week.
Oh, I'm rolling.